Welcome, everyone, to our second episode of the Coming Out Stories from India. Coming out, what an interesting term. I've always wondered, why do we need to use this term? What is it about being queer, gay, that we have to come out? There are so many of us who face discrimination, shame, fear, hate mongering, purely based on our sexual orientation. I've never had to face this when I was in a marriage and living a heterosexual life. Nicola, my partner of 14 years, and I believe that stories change the narrative, one story at a time. We decided to launch Coming Out Stories from India to ensure we all work together in changing this narrative. We aim to give the next generation positive role models, positive stories, and information, which during my time was not available, to be honest, that can help people make the right choices. I'm Raga Olga D'silva, or Totally Out Now, as you know me. Let me take you back. I remember in 2006, when I lived in New Zealand, Wellington in New Zealand, I remember reading the headlines, Prince of Gujarat comes out gay. It fascinated me because, at that time I was going through my own process of discovery. I was just beginning to question myself. Very, very, very early days. Prince Manvendra has a very powerful story. The more I peel his story, the more I realize how important it is for the society and for ourselves to accept it. His story is that one of responsibilities of a very different kind, a story that has seen fear, shame, pain, and confusion. Please join me in welcoming Prince Manvendra Singh Gohil, Prince of Rajpipla. Hello, Prince. How are you?
Yeah. How are you? Thank you for having me on this.
Very well, thank you. And there's a little bit of feedback, little bit of video breaking, but we will manage. We will navigate this.
Okay.
Okay. So before I start, I think you're the first and the only prince I actually know. Although, of course, we've heard of Prince Harry and Prince William here in London. So I'm just very curious to understand, what is it? Where is Rajpipla, first of all, in India? And what is the structure of a princely state? If you can just set some context for us.
Yeah, that's definitely. So Rajpipla used to be a very prominent princely state when the pre-independence time in India, one of the second largest in the state of Gujarat. And it has a very beautiful location. We are having two rivers on three sides of it. One of them is the third largest river of India, which is called Narmada, and we have the Satpura mountain ranges on the fourth side. So it's a very strategic location from the point of view of the, in those days they would protect themselves from the enemies and all. It's a beautiful city, and now it's of course becoming very famous because it was famous for two things. One is for me, of course, because I kind of was I have been always controversial and all, but it's also famous for the world's tallest statue is in Rajpipla, which is the Statue of Unity, which is of one of our leaders and one of our main freedom fighters, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So it's attracting a lot of tourists from all over the world. Of course, now because of COVID, there are no foreign tourists, but a lot of Indian tourists are coming. And now it is still. It is still the world's tallest statue. It's no other statue is, has been made bigger than that. And it's also having one of the India's largest multi-purpose dam is also in Rajpipla, which is very close to the statue, which provides irrigation facilities and electricity is generated from that as well.
So that is Rajpipla. This princely states of India that we grew up in our, reading about in our history books. Can you just give us some kind of a context again on that? What does that really mean?
I come from a very old dynasty, one of the oldest dynasties of India. Now, our dynasty dates back to the 13th century. It is Gohil dynasty. I am the 39th direct descendant from 1370 to presently what we are. And but even before that, we have recorded history going back to the sixth century. So we kind of we were rulers in Udaipur, which is in Rajasthan, North India, and then we migrated to with the one part of Gujarat state, and then my ancestors began ruling this part, which is now called Rajpipla. So we have got a very rich cultural heritage, and we, even though now it's a democratic republic and we don't have the powers to rule anymore, but we are still the custodians of this rich cultural heritage which we have inherited from our ancestors. You know, you can imagine 600 for 700 years of culture and history and heritage is a very big thing, you know. And Rajpipla, as I mentioned to you in the past, has been the second largest princely state in this part of India. So we have we have a lot of things to take care and maintain. I mean, there's palaces and all are there, of course, but other than that, also it's like it's a lot of things are there.
So, do you continue to have the responsibility as a prince?
So what happens is now in the Democratic Republic, we continue to be ambassadors for our respective princely states. In fact, even as of today, people respect us more, or rather trust us more than the politicians. You know, because I mean, see, we have been the creators of this place, and my ancestors have done a lot to create infrastructure, railways, roads, electricity, water supply, hospitals, education. A lot of things have been done. So, and government just got it for free. I mean, whatever they have, it was just passed on to them. And my great grandfather was the first ruler in the western part of India to have voluntarily handed over his entire estate to the government, and he gave also a lot of treasury from his own from the state treasury was given to the government, because that time India was just newly independent, and it needed a lot of funding. So people worship him. His statue was made by the people of the town after he passed away, and people worship him like God. You know, today also they will go to his statue, they will pray to for I mean for him, they will offer him coconuts, garlands, and that kind of a thing. And even for the royal family, they have high regards, and we kind of become like their icons, or the role models for them. So like I mean, like I was since the time I was born, I've been in media. There's nothing. There's we have always in the media. Anything we do, we wear something, then it's noticed. If we change a car, it is noticed. So it's like paparazzi always chasing us, trying to find out what they are doing, what is currently happening with the royal family. And I still remember whenever I enter the palace and when I come out, everyone on the road is just wants to know who is it which goes on inside the palace and who is it which comes out of the palace. So royal family is become a center of attraction.
I mean, what intense responsibility, right? It comes with a huge sense of pressure, I'm
Yeah.
sure. So, I'd like to know,
Yes.
how was your growing up years? What kind of responsibilities you had? How was it? Were you able to just kind of mix around with the general, population, or were you restricted in any way? I'd like to understand that a little bit more.
See, growing up in a royal family, born in a royal family, is definitely different than born in some other kind of a family. Because as I was mentioning you, we are groomed to be the future custodian of this rich cultural heritage. So all the training is given since birth. One of them is public speaking, because we always have to be in public. We have to work for social cause. We have to work for the public. And I remember as early as when I was 9 years old, I was invited as a chief guest for a school event. And I was not just that, I had to give a speech. I was so you can who which 9-year-old child of any family is going to be invited to give a speech for a school annual event. So that way it makes us different than others. Another interesting thing in our families is that we are not raised by our parents, which is unfortunate. I would say we are raised by governesses or paid employees, the staff, they call daima in Hindi, and they are hired by the parents to take care of the children and to groom them. Basically, even the governess is responsible in a lot of grooming. In my case, my governess also raised my mother. So I was the second generation. She brought up my mother and then she brought up me also. But the other thing which happens is that we don't develop that natural love and affection and attachment with our parents. We share a very very formal relation with them, and like in public, we are not supposed to say mom and dad, and they cannot call me by my name. So then we tend to, even in private, we tend to kind of call them your highness or her highness, his highness, and uh, like they also address me as the crown prince, which is called Yuvraj in the Indian term. They don't call me by my name. So so it's like when you can't even call your mom and dad by that. I mean, you can imagine so much of formality is involved. And I mean, at least in my time, it's a little better. But I've heard from my own parents' mouth that when they were growing up, they had to literally take appointment to meet their parents. So it's something like you cannot even meet your parents when you want to. You have to take an appointment and find out whether they are free to meet or no. So the things are changing now, but still these are some of the issues. And it is the retainers. Like we have servants working with us for generations. Like we have secretaries who have worked with us for the last 200 years. Their families. We have cooks, drivers, gardeners, guards, governesses, which are working with us for 150 years, 200 years, 300 years. So they each time the new generation is born, they continue to work in that same profession, and then they are the ones who train us and teach us the etiquettes. And of course, there are a lot of protocols, a lot of restrictions on what you are supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. Definitely, I was raised up in a very different way and with a lot of protections and norms.
So I shouldn't use the word restriction, right? I should use the word protection.
Protection, yes, protection is a better word.
So in that kind of an environment that you grew, were you able to come to terms with how you felt within? Did you have close friends that you could confide in? When you were growing up, all of us question, who we are, what we are, how we feel. So did you have that close knit of family and friends around you at all?
See, I have been a very introvert person right from beginning. In fact, like I was good in studies, but the only remark I get from my teachers to my parents would be that he's an introvert, shy, reserved, passive student. Would not talk to anyone. And one of the reasons was that since childhood we've been told that we can make friends only from the children of our status. you know so I would actually, because of that thing in mind, it was not allowing me to make friends easily. But fortunately, in again the school in which I studied, we had a lot of celebrities studying. I mean, a lot of children of celebrity. Like I studied in a school called Bombay Scottish in Mumbai, which is one of the best schools, and most of the Bollywood children are studying in that school. So I had a lot of friends from Bollywood in those days. Very famous Bollywood personalities, children were studying there with me. So I but one thing was very interesting, that I had more girlfriends than I had boyfriends. And
Okay.
there was, yeah, and there was a reason behind that. I mean, it was a co-ed school, and till we were in the primary section, boys and girls used to sit together, and then they separated us. The boys were separate and girls were separate, and then the boys started teasing the girls, which I didn't like. And I would always tell the boys, why are you teasing them? What right you have to tease them? And they would pull their ponytails and throw water on them. And I was the protector of the girls. I would stop them from doing that. And so the girls also liked me a lot. They said, "Wow, he's the only boy in the class who is not teasing us, and on the contrary, he's protecting us." So I became very friendly with girls, and but nothing sexual, of course, because I was just friends with them, and but I kind of don't remember having a single boyfriend in school, but I had plenty of girlfriends.
Very interesting. So, in fact, what I'm going to do at this point, Prince Manvendra, I'm going to just read out some of the comments from the audience. We've got fantastic, audience here today. We've got Siddhi Joshi who's saying, "Good to be here. Welcome, Siddhi. Thank you for joining us." Nikki Ray, she says, "Namaskar to the lovely host." Oh, thank you. And Royalty, Your Highness. Mad Bike, Namaskar, she says. She's excited to see you here. Jitendra Kumar Prasad says, we'll talk about that, Jitendra, is that you're planning to open a house for the underprivileged LGBTQ. We will bring that in a conversation later, Jitendra, for sure. Aruna Desai, a common friend, is here. She says hello. And Chitranta Bhatt, lots of love to my Prince Charming, she says. And I am going to come to that part of the conversation as well. So I'm going to, now that we've set the context, I really wanted us to understand an audience is not just from India, they're also from overseas right now. And as I shared with you. So they need to understand what it is that you went through as a young boy. Now I want to come back to a quote that I read on Wikipedia, which really touched me, because my life has been quite similar, as I shared with you. And so let me go back to 1991, when you got married to Chandrika Kumari. And there is this quote that really lives with me, very similar to what you've said. And let me quote and read that. It says, "I thought that after marriage, everything will be all right. That with a wife, I will have children and become normal. And then I will be at peace. I was struggling and striving to be normal. I never knew, and nobody told me I was gay, and that this itself is normal and it will not change. That this is what is called homosexuality, and it is not a disease. I tremendously regret for ruining her life." He's talking about his ex-wife. "I feel guilty, but I simply did not know better." Now, Prince Manvendra, this is my most important part of the session, is when did you start feeling that it wasn't right, that it wasn't normal? And why did you marry?
Yeah. So my marriage was not pressure from my family, unlike other friends of mine and from the LGBT community who are forced to get married by parents. There's a lot of family pressure. Mine was a voluntary decision of mine. I mean, I said I want to get married, and only thing I wanted to marry somebody who is, of course, from a royal family, but who is a self-made person. So I chose this Chandrika's family because her father was a self-made person, and she was good, and she was an artist. She paint. So very beautiful person. Everything was nice about her. And I, frankly speaking, had no clue about my sexuality because I knew I was different. I was attracted towards same sex. I mean, I had kind of girlfriends, but again, as I said, not sexually, no sexual attraction towards them. So but see, that time I was living in a state of confusion. There was no clarity, nobody to ask questions. I mean, and as I was telling you, there was absolute formal relations with me and my parents. So nobody to talk to. My governess was there, but she was illiterate. She wouldn't understand anything. And of course, in those days, we had no internet. I couldn't go to Google and find out what is this happening and what is. I mean, there was absolutely no chance of going and seeing, reading anything or finding out what is this behavior and all. And I would like to share something very interesting, which I have grown up with, and I often talk about it. That India is a unique country. I always say, India is a country of paradox. India is a unique country. India is a country where homosocial behavior has been accepted. Let me explain what is homosocial behavior. I'll start with my own self and my own growing up days. If you go to any palace in India, and most of the palaces I'm talking, and including ours, there is a separate section for men and separate section for women. In the men's section, only men are allowed, and in the women's section, only women are allowed. Opposite sex is not allowed to meet. You're not allowed to meet together. So, and even as a kid, I remember I would tell my governess that I want to meet my so-called girlfriend. And she wouldn't allow me. She said, no, 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 you cannot meet her. You can only meet her if her mother is at home, you know. So I would say, okay. But if I had to meet a boy, allowed. If in fact I had a servant who's to take care of me, so he is trusted. He can come. He can sleep with me in my room. He can do anything he wants to. They will not question him or not bother to find out, why this boy is in my room. So since childhood, we are living in this homosocial culture, and I've seen boys and boys hanging around with each other, girls and girls hanging around with each other. But it's the boy and girl coming together which is a problem in India. So I grew up with all this confusion in my mind. I said, I am attracted towards guys, but so what? If there are everywhere, I see boys and boys together. What's the big deal about it? But when I had no sexual experience before marriage. Uh,
Sure.
I had a slight experience with this servant boy who was taking care of me, but not nothing great, nothing much. And of course with a girl I had not no sexual experience at all. So I had no clue what I was, and I was thinking maybe it's a temporary phase in my life which will go away after once I get married and all. And that is why I took this decision of getting married. And it was after marriage I realized that I had no sexual attraction towards my ex-wife. She was extremely beautiful, very good looking, a very good person. We became very good friends. In fact, like I was telling you, I used to protect the girls. And see why the guilt feeling came to me, because in the childhood I was the one who was protecting the girls and saving them from the boys, and now I was the one who was causing her pain. You know, so imagine what had gone through me, because even if I wanted to help her, I couldn't help her because I gave her everything, whatever she needed. All the she came and she was staying in a palace. She had the luxury. She had everything. But sexual satisfaction is one of the main things in a marriage which I was not able to give her, and that was something which that guilt was there in me. I said that no, this is not right. I cannot do this with a girl who has innocently got married to me, and therefore, I couldn't continue with this marriage.
So Prince, one is the sexual that is intimacy, as we call it, which is very important. But was there emotional intimacy? Because that is also equally important. Because in our
Yeah,
community, the
yeah.
LGBT community, as you know, a lot of us get boxed into this. It's all about sex, they say. But emotional
Hmm.
intimacy is as important as sexual intimacy. So, did you feel emotionally connected to your wife in that manner as a husband?
Definitely. Yes, yes. I had an emotional connect with her. And as I was telling, that we became very good friends, if we wouldn't have got married with each other, we would have been still very good friends with each other. Like I'm friends with a lot of girls, from my school days and all the, I still have maintained good relations with, even today, I've got more girlfriends than I have boyfriends. A lot of girls, I can understand the issues of women more than I can understand issues of. I mean, when I say women, I mean straight or cis women. But I used to really be nice with her. She was also very nice to me, and in fact, she was the one who encouraged me to revive music. I've been a student of music, and she said, "No, you need to revive you have been a musician, and I would like you to start your practice again and all." So we got along really well with each other. We used to go for drives together. We did many things together, which what would please us the most. But I mean, no sex. There was no sexual
So interesting.
experience between
Interesting.
us.
So how did you both, because you were married for about a year and then she basically
Yeah,
asked for divorce, or she
right.
filed for divorce, right? So how did you navigate that year and a year and a half or 2 years that you were together? And how did you come to terms with, one, that the Prince of Rajpipla, one, was going to be separated from his wife and divorced? That's a huge thing, right? big responsibility. And two,
Hmm.
your the self discovery. When did that happen?
So as I told you, those 15 months were very, very traumatic for me because wanting to, I always sided girls whenever there were any issues. And here I was not able to help out her. And I mean, I was the one who was, causing her the pain and the sadness and sorrow and everything, and not able to get a solution to that. So I was under tremendous pressure, and I also tried to commit suicide during that time of the 15 months. But I didn't fail. Luckily, I survived that. And I mean, and definitely there was this thing behind me that prestige issue, and like what if the marriage doesn't is fails, and how what face will I show to the people of Rajpipla who are, and as I told you, everything is noticed. Even if you have a fight, it will come in the newspaper. We can't live in our private space. We don't have privacy in our families. Everything is kind of, yeah, it gets noticed, and the stories are carried out, and people get noticed very easily. So that was also there on me. So somehow, because we were friends, and we arrived at a conclusion that let's under a mutual understanding, let's separate without creating any drama or any kind of washing any dirty linen in the public and all that. And fortunately for me, non-consummation of marriage is a very valid ground for divorce in India. I don't know of other countries, but in India, and she got her virginity test done, and most Indian girls, I mean, at least from the royal families, they are virgin, you know, uh, before marriage. I mean, after, I mean, it's the husband which breaks up the virginity. So she got a virginity test done and proved to the court that, look, I'm virgin. I said, I agree to the test. So then the judges said, then what is your problem? I mean, she is young, you're young, you all can easily, why do you want to wait? So I was lucky, I got a very good judge. He kind of, managed to, settle the case very easily between us, and we kind of got a divorce. It was her parting words which made me realize that I should do something to discover myself. Is she told me, look, you have tried to spoil my life. Please don't do it with another girl. You know, had she not said that, maybe I would have got married again. I don't know. Who knows? But
Yeah.
that was something which triggered with me something that no, I need to, find out, explore myself, and find out what went wrong. Why did this marriage fail? You know. So that got, and then I was divorced in 1993, and around 1995 I met this uh, activist Ashok Rao Kavi, who happened to be the first activist from India to openly come out as gay. Luckily, I met him, and he was the one who, who made me feel comfortable and made me realize that I am a self-identified gay man. And
Okay.
not just that, he removed the guilt feeling in me and made me feel proud of my sexuality. So,
Excellent. So we should say
but
cheers to
imagine it took
Ashok
me 30
Kalkavi.
years. It took me 30 years to realize that I'm gay. But finally, yes, I did that. And then I decided that no more wedding, no marriage, no marriage for me. Come what may, I'm not getting married again.
So did you come out to your parents at that stage? Because I'm sure there would have been pressure on you to
No,
remarry.
yeah, there was definitely pressure was there because Chandrika, my wife, she got married just within a year of her divorce. Which was a big thing because for a girl to get married again, it's very difficult in our families. So then the pressure was even more. They said when she can get married, then why can't our son? And there was a lot of pressure from the people of the town as well because see, everyone wants to see the future custodian and all those things. So there was a tremendous pressure, and each time the talks happened, I was not able to, tell them the reason. And I said, no, no, no. First marriage was a failure, and I take time to recover from that, and just give me some time. And So I kept dilly-dallying, for almost 5 years, 5, 6 years. I kind of, was not wanting to get married, or avoiding the marriage pressure and all. But it came so much on me, like I was no longer able to handle that pressure on me, because not just that, like I've always been a person who has been very honest right in childhood, and here I was forced to live a double life. I was forced to live a different life in private and different life in public, and forced to tell lies. So that so much of pressure came on me that I suffered a serious mental condition called a nervous breakdown. That happened in 2002, when I was around 37 years old, 7 years after I kind of, came to terms with my sexuality. And I was hospitalized for that. And it was during hospitalization that I came out to my psychiatrist,
I
you
see.
know. And fortunately, he was very much friendly towards LGBT issues and all, very sensitive towards it. And he was the one who volunteered to tell my parents about my sexuality.
And how was their reaction?
Well, I think with most parents, reaction is always first reaction is always denial. And the first thing they said, they told the psychiatrist, well, he had so many girlfriends in school, so how could he be gay, And that's a fact, they know I had a lot of girlfriends, and that was the first thing which they said. And second thing they said, look, we have brought him with the best grooming possible, you know. So there is definitely somebody has made me gay, and the poor Ashok Rao Kavi was blamed, for that. Listen, our son was never gay, he has got the best grooming, but the best cultural upbringing we can ever give to any child was given to him, and that's also a fact. I was groomed very well, taken very good care. Uh, but they said uh, there are people. They said that he was converted into being gay for their own interests. They said Ashok Rao Kavi knew that he was a prince, and he made him gay for his own interest. So unnecessarily the allegations came to somebody else. So that was their first reaction. And then they said, well, we don't have anything to worry about. Science and technology has advanced so much. There is definitely a cure for this. This can be cured, we can cure. If there's no cure in India, we don't mind flying him to US and all, getting him operated. We can have a surgery done. We can even try electroshock therapy, things like that. But definitely, if cancer can be cured, then definitely homosexuality can be cured. You know,
So they believed it was a
so
disease, right? So they believed that it was an illness, your parents.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, yes, definitely, definitely.
You're,
But
you,
there another interesting thing happened with in my case, that what saved me was that I also happened to be left-handed. And I have been again left-handed since I was very young, and the teacher pointed out to my parents, and then they again took me to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist point blank refused. He said, "Don't even try to change your son from left-handed to right-handed, because it will have serious mental repercussions on him." So when this topic came about, making me straight, the psychiatrist said, "Look, you could not make your son from left-handed to right-handed. Similarly, you cannot convert him from gay to becoming straight. You know, so that same example was used. But then parents are parents. They will not listen. And then when they science and technology was not helping them in any way, they said, okay, forget about science and technology. We will go to religion. Religion is above science. And religion, because in India people are very God fearing, and they we have all so many thousands or millions gods and goddesses, and so many religions and all that. So they said definitely a religious head, or a swami or a sadhu or some saint will be able to cure our son. So then
right.
I was taken to different sadhus and men and women and all types, old and young, and the entire India I toured, and even astrologers and everyone. And I supported them, gave them complete cooperation. I said, let them mentally satisfy themselves. Because in my heart, within my heart, I knew that no religious leader is going to make me straight. You know, it's not going to be possible. So let them try out whatever they want to do. So for 3 years, they tried to make me straight, and I did everything, whatever the religious leader said. One of them said, become vegetarian, I did that. Another one said, write God's name in the diary, I did that. Another one said, do yoga. Another one said, drink water from the well, light a lamp. So 3 years I did everything what the religious leaders told me. And in spite of becoming straight, I became even more gay.
I love it. But
So,
audience watching this, I hope you can hear while we are smiling and you saying it in such a light-hearted manner, Prince Manvendra. I can imagine the trauma, the pain that you would have been through, and it's something that I relate to this very well because I've been through this, and it saddens me to know that conversion therapy, for instance, whether it's through a medical treatment or through religious beliefs like that continue not only in India but in the UK, in countries like New Zealand. It's almost like people don't realize that this is not an illness. This is who we are. You can't spaghetti. It cannot be made straight
yeah.
no matter what. It is our life, and you have to accept and allow us to accept ourselves. So I'm going to come back to this. From 1991, 93, 96 is when you meet Ashok Rao Kavi. You go through a self discovery. 2003, and finally in 2006 your story comes out in a manner. And it's Chirantana Bhatt, right? Have I ever got the name right? She's the
Yes,
one
yes,
who
yes.
broke the story to the
Yeah, yeah.
media. And thank you,
Right.
Chirantana, for being here and listening to this. It really means a lot to me personally. So I'm saying in 2006, that's 10 years, a decade after you self-discovered that you came out. Now, one is, why did you come out? And two is, what was the most significant impact of that on your life?
Yeah, very good question, Raga. I mean, between 2002 and 2006, the 4 years, when 2002 was the time I came out to my parents, I have faced the most traumatic part of my life. In spite of fully cooperating with my parents and letting them do whatever they wanted to do, I allowed them to giving them the liberty of you know, trying to make me straight. I just gave up on them. I said, do whatever you want to do. I'm your, baby. You do whatever you feel like doing. I allowed them that. But it was so traumatic. I mean, imagine, going to all these kind of weird people and, getting lectures from them and doing this and doing that. And, it takes a big toll on your mental health, I would say. Not and mental health leads to physical health issues. That was one thing. Secondly, they started emotionally torturing me, emotionally blackmailing me. When science failed and religion also failed, then they said now they were determined to make me straight. So they started like burning up my old papers, certificates, and things like that. My marriage records and everything was just burnt and destroyed by them. That we don't want to remember those things because you have ruined our life and this and that. And then that happened. Then they started saying, okay, we will start telling people about your sexuality. We'll tell you. I've been learning music, so they said we'll tell your teacher. He'll stop teaching you music. We'll tell so and so that person will disassociate with you. We'll tell your friends. We'll tell your associates and all that kind of threat. They started threatening me. Then they started removing me from all the businesses. One fine day, my mother makes this big announcement. I was taking care of our gas station, and which was by from a oil company called Indian Oil Company. One fine day, she makes this big declaration in front of the family and says that I'm removing you from the dealership of the company because the Indian oil policy is that a gay cannot become a dealer. So I said, okay. I mean, if the oil company is saying that, then fine. But, so then she removed me from the gas station. She started removing me from the companies, from the trust. We had some religious trust, from family trust. They said a gay cannot be a trustee. of a gay cannot be this, gay cannot be that, and all that. Then finally they said, okay, if you have to live in this house, you have to get married. If you cannot get married, then you have two options. You renounce the world and become a saint. And the second option is that if you don't want to do that, then join the hijras, join the transgender community. So I said, I don't want to become a saint. I'm happy to live in this household and like enjoy the material world. Why should I? I'm not in any mood to, become saint or a sadhu or something. So I'm not interested in that. And secondly, I said, I'm not a hijra. I'm gay. So why should I join the hijra community? That's out of question. And I said, thirdly, I'm not going to get married to a girl. That's for sure. You know. So anyway, the torturing continued. It reached to such a state that I couldn't take it anymore. Then another thing happened. I had a godfather then who was extremely supportive towards our cause. He used to keep telling me that, look, Manvendra, you are doing a good job. You in like fighting for gay rights, and by then I started my organization also, Lakshya Trust, for the empowerment of the community. But India needs somebody like Bhagat Singh, and Bhagat Singh. I mean. Some Indians would know, most Indians would know, but Indians outside India will not know. He was uh, a very young freedom fighter who sacrificed his life for the freedom of our country. So India needs a Bhagat Singh to take this movement forward. So all these two, three factors were combined. My parents torturing this, my godfather's, statement of that somebody needs a Bhagat Singh, and plus the people of Rajpipla who are like, totally, worried about what's going to happen to the future of the Gohil dynasty. There's the prince is not getting married. I'm the only son, and what's going to happen? Who's going to be taking care of this dynasty and all that. So in that process, Chirantana Bhatt came as an angel to, and as an angel as a savior, and I said, now my parents are already threatening back, like, I'll tell this one and I'll tell that one and all. I said, okay, I will make their job much easier. Let me only tell the whole world, so that their task of telling this one and that one gets reduced. And then, I should declare to the whole world. And then I just, she asked me to share the story, the personal story, and that's what I did. And of course, as I briefly say, the rest was history.
History. Thank you,
So,
Chirantana Bhatt, for doing that. Thank you for that. There are a couple of points as you were talking were getting raised in my head. One was that about the whole comparison with a hijra and a gay man, and I face this all the time. Just because I've come out as a queer woman, people just say that they think that, oh, you now belong to the hijra community. Or so is it a lack of, and you also spoke about it earlier that one of the reasons that you didn't come out to yourself first was because there was lack of information or role models, and you and I from the same generation, we didn't have that kind of information. There was no Google. So you think that we are the ones with our voices out here that can actually educate the general people the difference between what the LGBTQ is, trans and a gay man and a lesbian, they're very, very different, because people don't seem to understand that. Is that also part of what you're doing now in your activism?
yeah, very true. And you know what? I have coined a word called educated illiterate. So there are many people in India who are highly educated, but I call them educated illiterate simply because they lack the awareness of simple things, like they have absolutely no clue about homosexuality and many things, which is of course not their fault, because they have not been educated, they haven't been literate enough in their educational institutions to learn about these issues. So I'm definitely for creating the awareness, because in those days and even now, a lot of people confuse us with the hijras. I'll give you an example from my own childhood experience. When I was growing up, I have heard this from my own parents' mouth. Oh, the following Maharaja, he's a hijra. And I used to wonder, how can a Maharaja be a Hijra? Because from me, a Hijra was somebody who is cross-dressing, and you find them begging on the streets, and those kind of things. And I would think a Maharaja is a male, is a king. How can a king be a Hijra? So that was something which made me realize that why gay and Hijra were confused, because that they were mentioning about that Maharaja who was actually gay. And like there are a lot of us within the in the royal families who I call them, they are the queens in the closet. So yeah. There are a lot of us there, but nobody except me had the courage to come out. So definitely we need to make them literate. That education illiterates have to be made literate and made to understand and realize that we exist, and we don't exist just now. We have been existing since centuries, since millenniums, since bygone era, and we have evidence on that. I mean, when I say, I told you India is a country of paradox, I would like to mention that if we should be proud that we are the country of Kama Sutra. We are the country which has the oldest sex encyclopedia, which was written 500 years even before Jesus Christ was born. And there is an entire chapter on homosexuality on that, which even sexual positions which two male couples or two female couples can enjoy. It has a chapter on transgenderism. Then why are the people of India still thinking that this is the homosexuality never existed in our country and it's a Western influence? You know, and it's very
Exactly.
unfortunate that where have we gone? We have gone from total sexual liberation to a point where sex education is not even taught in schools, and teachers don't teach us. Like, I mean, I have studied in the best school of Bombay. I mentioned to you Bombay Scottish, and when it came to sex education, you know what our teachers used to teach us? Secondary sexual characteristics of zebras and lions. I said, my goodness, I'm not interested in having sex with a zebra or a lion. Why are they teaching us that? Why can't they? And the topic was human physiology, and they never touched on the human physiology part. They were teaching about animal physiology. You know, so this is the condition of our educational institutions in India. So we have literally gone to dogs. From Kama Sutra, I don't know where we have gone. We have this
I agree with you.
and Kama Sutra is. I have traveled the world. I have traveled the world. Kama Sutra is famous all over the world except India. I don't know why
Exactly.
we feel shy. Why do we feel ashamed even talking about sex? I mean, forget about that. We have temples, like we have the famous temple in Khajuraho,
Ajura.
which has got open depiction of homoerotic statues and sculptures.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
Gujarat itself, we have temples. I recently visited one temple. I've taken photographs also, where I can see, homoerotic statues and sculptures in the open. This then where have we gone wrong? This is the question which I want to ask the Indians and all those people who are so hypocrites, who just don't want to accept the truth and want to go away from that. So that education is very, very important, and that is the only way we can remove the misconceptions from the minds of the people, and that have them accept and support us.
I agree with you. Our gods were gender fluid, right? The Hindu gods. We've spoken about this on other forums as well. We
Yeah,
have Shiva and Parvati and Nareshwar. So there are so many reference points in our own books that we seem to have forgotten. We've made sex a taboo. We've made love about sex.
exactly.
And so all these confusion and complications that we've created in our own mind, complexities that don't need to be there. So I'm so pleased that you're just bearing it all for us. It's wonderful to listen to you. And at this point, I want to come back now to 2006, where now you've come out in the media. Now I believe, from whatever I have read and heard, there was a huge backlash in your own Rajpipla. Can you share more about what happened and how did you navigate that?
Yeah, yeah. So, like as I was mentioning, people of Rajpipla used to worship us like gods. They treated us with a lot of respect. And the day I came out, it coincidentally happened to be the festival of Holi. They were actually going to burn the fire, and to ward off the evils, they have they have the bonfire and all that. So the entire town got together and they burnt my effigies in the fire. So you can imagine it was a total opposite of respect to disrespect, and they shouted slogans that, and they said he's brought humiliation and shame to the heritage of Rajpipla and the family, and he should be exiled. He should be stripped of his title. He should be excommunicated. Shouldn't be allowed in any functions, and it was just the opposite of pre 2006. What I was facing. And there was so much so that they took all the police to, what, there was widespread protest happening in the entire town. The people were shouting slogans and a lot of things happened. My own parents, they brought out notices in the newspaper saying that we are disowning our son from the royal family, and we are also disinheriting him from the ancestral property. The only
Wow.
thing which I mentioned to the media when I was asked to give a statement, I said I do not blame these people who have been homophobic towards me, but I blame their ignorance. And it is a duty of a person like me to educate them and bring them out from that ignorance and give them that education, that literacy to help them understand us. And I said a day will come when the same very people who have burned my effigies, who have gone against me, will come back to me, because it's a simple thing. Where will they get a prince on hire? I'm the whole and sole person. I'm the only crown prince. So whenever there's a trouble, they'll have to come back to me. Whenever there's a crisis, they'll have to come to me. They cannot go to any other place. And I was thinking it's going to take some few years, but it in fact happened the very same year. When my effigies were burnt, within a year itself, the people came back and then they apologized, and they kind of like they withdrew what they had, the statements. Even my parents withdrew the notices. They realized that they made a mistake. But let me tell you one thing, it didn't happen overnight. It Like, I had to have a lot of patience, a lot, and media, of course, came as a big support, because the Gujarati newspaper, the vernacular newspaper, which when Chirantana was the journalist, that was the probably the first vernacular newspaper in India to write such a positive story on homosexuality. In the English newspapers used to write, but vernacular media newspapers were not writing. So many newspapers, they started the writing positive stories. English newspaper, print media, television media, radio media. So that helped to change the mindset, because I kept giving stories, stories after stories on different issues. I kept continuing, talking about, because that was the only way. In those days we didn't have internet, so I there was nothing digital, and how you're interviewing me and then things get out. The only way I could do was through the print media and television media. So that was something which. So my idea was to bring them out of that ignorance, and that was something which helped. And I knew for sure that once they become so-called educated, literate, then they would be out of their ignorance, and their misconceptions would be removed from their minds. And the very people who went against me, they came back to me.
Fantastic. This is a story of not just courage, it's of patience as well, right? Of belief also, that, you have faith that things will change. I remember, I must tell you, in 2006, when this, your story came out, and I was going through my own journey at that time. I just started on that journey. I remember my mother reading it, and she said, Bakwas hai, all nonsense. This is how, people brainwash people. I remember that conversation. I remember that comment. And I actually got so scared of that article that every time anything would appear, I would hide it, because I would be so fearful of the general reaction from others around my own state of mind. And this is what we did at that time, right? We hid. And to me, I hope that with these kind of dialogues that we are having, that people listen, accept, understand, get educated, and do not repeat this with other people and for your own self. Now, I'm going to come back to how you put the word gay, Indian and gay, on the world map. That is the most, I think, critical phase for people from India. And you were You have been on Oprah Winfrey show. I think she loves Prince Manvendra, now Prince Harry, of course. And you put us on the world map. Tell us about the experience with Oprah and why did you again decide to go on such a global show? And were you, and also very important, did you fear for your life at that point? Because I know that there were lots of what we call them trolls right now, right? There were lots of threats around you at that time.
Yeah, definitely. So my invitation to from Oprah Winfrey in 2007 was a huge turning point in my life because I also didn't know, but I was the third Indian to be invited by her, and a lot of people, especially from the royal families and even other people in India, they are huge Oprah fans. You know, in those days, like her show was very extremely popular. So the invitation itself, which was reported and by none other than Chirantana, she was the first person to report it. That itself became a very big news, that, oh my God, getting invited by, because, and of course, I am the first member of a royal family from India and the only one as of now to have been invited by her. Nobody has gone from a royal family in India as yet to a show. Going there and getting interviewed by her, and Oprah is, as we all know, she's very witty and she knows how to interview, and she has all those methods, and she very brilliantly connected my personal story in telling the world about a lot of misconceptions which people carried about India and being gay in India. One of the important thing was she brought out the point that most of us in India who are gay or lesbian are married to the opposite sex, and again the most of the marriages which happen are forced. So that conversation she started with my own life, talking about my marriage. Another thing she pointed out was that being gay or being homosexual in India is not a crime, but the homosexual act is a crime. you know so that was something which a lot of people did not know. They always used to think that if you're gay, you could be arrested or you could be convicted or something like that. But so that was also very cleverly put by her. So her show was a live show, and it went to several parts of the world. Not just It was not just aired in America. It went to several parts of Europe and Australia and a lot of Asian countries. And I mean, I became overnight. I became an international celebrity. You can say. So coming back from her show to India itself was a big thing, and a lot of people who watched that show, they realized that there is some substance in this person because Oprah is not a fool to invite me all the way from India to Chicago to do this show. And I knew for sure that her show is going to have a great influence on the mindset of the people because you when you have a when you have a celebrated person, when you have a person who's famous, that person, when they openly talk about these issues in a very positive manner, then it sinks into the other individual, and they realize that yes, we need to listen. We need to realize that where why we have gone wrong in judging this person, and that made a lot of difference.
No, it was a fantastic interview. I still remember that interview, by the way. And I just want to get a question. There's a question that's coming from David Leedon, author of Gay Dad. He lives in the UK, and he's asked a question. He said, "Were you treated differently by the British when you came out? And did you stop getting invited to high society events, for instance?" Very interesting question.
I did a show in UK, and that show also happened because of Oprah show because the BBC was doing a show called Undercover Princess, and because I was already in the Oprah show, they sent me an invitation. They said to add to a little spice to the story, we are inviting you as a gay prince. The other two princes who were then invited for that show were supposedly straight. So I said fine, and I was definitely treated very well, in the UK. This show was done in Brighton, and of course I was supposed to be undercover, so I had to pretend, and it was very difficult for me to pretend that I'm who I am because I was not, I was not supposed to be outed. So I had to like, and people had seen me on the Oprah show, so I had to kind of change my face, my appearance, and change my hairstyle and do a lot of things to look different. But I was treated with a lot of respect, and especially after this show was aired, I was called Manny on that show because I had to change my name from Manvendra. So after I did that show, for the first time, it happened that there was a Manny fan page on Facebook,
Oh, cool.
which has never happened in any country. So my first fan page was created by the Britishers, who kind of,
Excellent.
they adored me a lot and they respected me.
You continued getting invited to social gatherings, right? Whether in the UK or India, that didn't stop. That was like
No, no, definitely.
completely.
It in fact, it increased. I used to get so many invitations coming from all over the world that I had to literally, cancel some, because it was not possible to be in Brazil in the one and being in Australia on the same day. It's geographically not possible. But let me tell you, from 2007 to 2011 or 2012, I must have traveled to so many countries in the world that my entire passport was full of stamps, and my passport pages got over. I had to apply for a new passport because even though my passport was new, not due for renewal, but because there was no page to stamp, I visited so many countries all over the world after this Oprah show, and of course in India also a lot of invitations were coming and but it was a very good thing because I used the global platform to do the advocacy. And whichever country I went, I used to meet the top most leaders like presidents, prime ministers, parliamentarians, judges of courts, Hollywood, United Nations, and very important dignitaries. And each and every person I met, I had only one thing to tell them: please help us, give us freedom in India. The LGBT
Amazing.
community needs freedom. Please help us. I know you can help us. I know you can influence the mindset of our leaders, because when you meet political persons, they know how to, talk to our political leaders. In fact, let me tell you, incident in Sweden. I was invited to Stockholm to inaugurate one of the Euro Prides. And our president of India was supposed to visit the very next month. And I was taken specially to her suite. And even before the president could arrive, I went and saw her bedroom where she was going to stay. They showed us that, look, here is your president is going to stay. How do you find the room? I said, wow, it's nice. So I said, look, now she is coming. The lady president. I said, she's coming to Sweden. Please talk to her. Try to convince her why we need our freedom. So that was something which helped me whenever I got these invitations.
Excellent. See now, audience listening in, watching, see now the prince is actually getting into a fairy tale story. Now the actual fairy tale is coming through. Now, anybody has questions, please feel free to check here, write in the comments box. We are going to continue. Normally, Prince Manvendra, I have a 45-minute to a 60-minute session. But this session is so interesting. I don't care how long it goes on. I hope you don't mind staying on with us.
No, no, I have no mind. I have no problems. Except you might have some disturbance from my dogs barking, but
They're welcome.
other
They're
than
welcome.
that, that's not a problem.
It adds to flavor to our show. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this point where now you've been married, you've come out in the media, now you've got international recognition, you've spreading the message across the world, you're doing advocacy, activism. Now tell us about when you finally decide to remarry. Who do you marry, and how does that happen?
Yeah, yeah. So I always believe that one should have a companion in life, whether you're straight or you're gay or whatever you are. A soulmate is necessary. Somebody to share with your emotions, your feelings. It's not necessarily sexual, but you definitely need a companion. And I decided that I'm not going to, find somebody like that in my life. If it happens, it'll happen. Otherwise, I'll leave it to fate, to decide what is whatever is in my destiny. I'm ready to accept it. So I didn't make it an effort to find somebody like that. And it happened that I was after I came back doing my show in UK, the Undercover Princess. I was on a social media site, and this is much before I was on Facebook. There was a site called Tag, Tagged Tag. It's still there. So I became friends with this person on Tagged, and I was sharing his experience. Oh, and now I come back to India doing show. I'm feeling so lonely, and because I had fun in Brighton. I had a really good time in Brighton doing that show, and now I was feeling miserable and I was missing it and all that. And so this person became friendly with me, and from 2009 till 2011, we were just chatting on Facebook and social media and all that. And then he decides to come to India on a vacation, and we are just friends. There's nothing else but just friendship. And so he decides to come because he's interested in Indian textiles and fashion and those kind of things. So I said, fine, you can come and stay with me, and I'll show you around whatever I can. Unfortunately, when he was coming to India in 2011, suddenly I got an invitation from Oprah, because she was ending her 25 years of her show. And she said, I would like you to come, and I would like you to talk about what has happened since 2007, since the time you came, and what changes have happened in India, and I would like you to come. And though I didn't want to go because my friend was arriving from the US, from America, this one was talking to you about. And but then I had to, I couldn't refuse Oprah. So then I managed to stay with him only for 3 days, and then but then he said it wasn't enough, so I need to come back again. So now I want to disclose his name. His name is DeAndre. He came back to India again in 2012, and something happened in 2012. From 2009 to 2012, we were just friends, and we had no intention for even getting in a relation with each other, because that time I was dating a guy, and my husband DeAndre was already married to an American guy. So there was no question that we could even think about a relationship. But when 2012, he had broken off from his ex-husband, and I also had broken off from my date. So we both were singles. So yeah, some chemistry happened, some body chemistry, some chemistry happened, in which kind of 2012 is visit of 2012. We kind of didn't immediately think of entering into a relationship, but when he went back to US, and then we again started talking on social media, it somehow it kind of he shared with me that I no longer like you, but I love you now. So that was his first honest statement, and he said, I don't expect that from you, but I wanted to make myself clear about what I think. And then in 2013, again he came back to India. That's the time when I introduced him to my family. I took him to the palace, and then of course 2013 he invited me to US. By then I also had started having some interest in him and emotional attachment to him. Now that we've been known each other for almost 4 years, so it was a friendship which got converted into a relationship. And I think that's very important, that because see, when you have that intention of being just friends, it's not, we don't meet somebody for a relationship. Then and that when that turns into a relationship, then that bond is very strong. And I was invited by him in 2013 to US, and we got married there in the presence of his family, his parents, and his siblings and all. And in 2014, he decided to move to India, because I said, now we cannot have long distance relation. He's from the Pacific Northwest part of US. So he decided to leave everything and come to India to to be with me. So since 2014, he has been staying with me in India. But then last year due to COVID, we were separated because Indian borders had to be sealed to the foreigners. So he had to leave in October 2020. He had to go back to US. And we are still in touch with each other, but of course, he's not staying with me anymore.
Yeah, but he's going to be back soon, right? Well, as soon as the COVID.
Yes, 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 definitely. Yeah, yeah. As soon as the borders open, he will be back.
I have to put this on record that we absolutely love DeAndre, Duke of Hanment. How do you pronounce it? Duke of, what is the title given to him?
Uh, yeah, it is. Yeah, so there's a story behind that. So
Okay, okay.
I was gifted this royal estate by my father. You know, that's another example of how you can change a homophobic person into you and an ally. So my
And
father, like he changed. You know, like as I told you, I brought him out of that ignorance and educated him. And now after that, he gifted me a entire ancestral property, an estate which is called Hanumanteshwar, which is a huge property which I'm developing just now. And that's where I brought him, and he started staying here. And then my great grandfather had a British wife. So they had the title of, their children had the title of Duke and Duchess and all. So that title was given to DeAndre by my father's uncle, who was the senior most member of a royal family. And he was extremely supportive towards me, even when I came out, and much before my parents accepted me. So he was the one who actually taught him a lot of royal etiquette because he's American, not from a royal family. So obviously, he said, look, if you're coming into the life of the prince, then you need to learn some royal etiquettes and protocols and things like that. So he was groomed by my father's uncle, and he was the one who also gave him the title that you will be henceforth, uh, you know, and whenever you get married to him, you will be henceforth called the Duke of Hanumantesh.
how amazing. What a lovely story. I'm loving it. At this point, let me just read out some of the comments. Minal Jaiswal from the UK. Now, Minal Jaiswal runs a group called Indians in London. We've been doing a lot of work with them alongside the Minal in particular, getting resources for COVID relief in India. So they've been collecting money and sending a lot of oxygen concentrators into India. So that's one wonderful thing. So I'm glad she's here. She says, two courageous people. Thank you, Meenal. Sarita Dasgupta says, glad you're living life on your own terms to you. Everyone deserves that. Again, Aruna Desai says, wow, Prince, very courageous. And I think you have a fantastic story, really. Aruna Desai talks about that she agrees that conversion therapy is still very much prominent here. Rahul Sharma says something very interesting. I'm always told, Sale Mard Ban. And I used to reply, Nahi Banna. Interesting. Malvi Naithani Makhija comments, I have been to the palace. It's so beautiful, a beautiful legacy. How wonderful. Now that brings me to a question. Do you have pressure on you and the Duke to continue with this lineage, a legacy? And what do you think about it?
Yeah, see, this question has been asked to me several times by media and many people about uh, this rich cultural heritage which we have inherited, and this I being the only son of my father, and even my father doesn't have any other brothers, and we strictly follow the patriarchal society, which means the women don't have say, the daughters don't have say. So there is, of course, a tremendous pressure from the people who have now started respecting me after they have been kind of their ignorance has come out, and like they feel proud of me now. So there's now a lot of pressure, and people are like really looking forward to know how will this dynasty continue, how will the lineage continue, because it is not as I said, the dynasty continue is nothing to do with anything else, because we are already a democratic republic, so we have no powers as such. But definitely they want to see the next in line, because as I said, they trust us more than the politicians. There's a small thing, like even just now during the COVID time, the hospitals were not having enough facilities to handle the patients and to provide the oxygen and all the other things. So they came to us. I put in a word to the health ministry and got things organized, and things move faster when we are representing. So they have a lot of faith on the royal families. So there is this pressure. There is definitely adoptions are very common in royal families, because in the past also, I mean, in my own royal family, when it started in 1370, our own dynasty was there was an adoption, because it's very common that when you go to war, it's not necessary you will come back alive. So when the male, the descendant dies, then somebody has to continue the lineage, and mostly the adoption happens from the extended families. Somebody who is the cousin, or somebody who's the nephew, or somebody who's from the family. That kind of. Even I'll give you a very good example. There is a very big princely state. There used to be a very big princely state in India called Baroda, which is very close to Rajpipla. And Baroda royal family, almost a century ago, they had the king of Baroda was also adopted, and he turned out to be one of the most renowned and most illustrious rulers ever India had. In fact, he gave scholarship to the person who wrote the Indian Constitution. So imagine, how much a visionary person he was. And he was a case of adoption. So there adoptions have happened, and it's going to happen in my family also. It's too early to say anything because my father is still holding charge. He's still the head of the Gohil dynasty as of now. And he has to take the decision, that who is going to continue the dynasty, and of course taking the opinion, taking the consultations from the other members of the family, and also the prominent citizens of the town will come together and decide. But definitely, this lineage will continue. It will not end with me. So long as I am living, I'm going to maintain this rich cultural heritage, no doubt about it. Because if I'm proud to be gay, I'm also proud to be born in a royal family. So both are important for me. So yeah. So I'm going to continue that, and whenever the time comes for the next in line, I'm ready to groom that individual also to take over charge. As I'm doing, see, I'm doing at the moment, I'm actually even grooming somebody from the gay community to continue the charge after I'm no more. Because we have to remember one thing: we are not permanent, and the
Yeah.
LGBT movement has to continue. So I'm already started grooming some youngsters, some young members of the community who can take over charge and continue with this with the movement and fight
Fantastic.
for the rights.
Fantastic. And we spoke about this morning as well, that how you are using the space that has been given to you to do so much more, and you have become an active
Yeah.
activist is the word to use. You're doing spreading a lot of social messages around, running campaigns, adoption. I'd love to hear more about it. And how do we, from the outside, when sitting in, I'm in London, we have friends around in India. If they want to use your facilities, what do we do?
Yeah. So I came up with this idea because my father had already gifted me this ancestral land, and I said, me and my husband, we won't be having any children. So whom do we leave this estate for? So and I had already suffered disowning and disinheriting and all from my parents. I said, if it can happen to me, it can happen to any other individual in India. Parents not understanding and then throwing them out of the homes and things like that. So I said, why not create a safe space in this huge estate and develop a LGBT community campus where anyone who is rendered homeless because of their parents throwing them out, we could rescue them. We could provide them a safe space. We could provide them the freedom to live their truth without having the botheration of being discriminated or being judged by people. And at the same time, I'm also trying to build their skills and build their capacities so that when they stay with me, I want them to build their confidence and want them to see that they are either self-employed or they get job opportunities, so that they go back and face the world with confidence and they're able to face the homophobic society. I don't believe in escapism, you know. So anyone who comes here, they come here for a transit accommodation. Once they feel that yes, now they are in the position to face the world, then we groom them in that manner that they are able to go back. And so basically, I'm providing social empowerment and I'm providing financial empowerment.
So is this like anybody from India who's out to their parents? Let's say, for example, we talked about this in one of our other shows, where people, when they out themselves, the parents sometimes throw them out of the house. They don't accept it. So anybody from India can use this facility, call up, and just go there from the
Anyone from
community,
the
of course.
world, it's not just restricted to India.
Anywhere.
And yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Anyone from the world, not just community. I have also opened this space for allies. I would like allies to come. I would like them to, because see, I realize that if I'm only working for the LGBT issues, it's not correct. That's why I don't even call myself as an LGBT activist. I call myself as a human rights activist because I work for all those people who have been denied their basic rights, and those have been like not privileged enough on they are not able to enjoy their freedom. So, like, I work for women rights, I'm working for domestic violence against women, I'm working for tribal rights, I'm also working for animal rights. So,
Wow.
anyone and everyone who kind of has been, denied their basic rights and who has not been given the right to live with dignity and respect is welcome here. Homophobic people are not allowed here. You know, so but homophobic people are allowed once their homophobia goes away and then they start understanding us, then they are allowed.
When
So
they're
that's
educated,
it.
right?
So yeah,
When they educate themselves.
right, exactly.
Yeah. So, is there any
Yeah,
information that we can find, any link or something that we can give out to our audience? Maybe
yeah,
later on the comments, I can
yes,
put up
yeah,
something. Yeah.
right,
Was
yeah.
we
So
also
we have a website.
okay?
Yeah, we have a website. I can share with you my website address, and that could be it's very simple. It's actually my trust. It's called the Lakshya Trust. It's www.lakshatrust.com is the website address. So if they go on the website, they will see a lot of activities which are going on in our trust, not just with the campus. With we are working in 3 cities in Gujarat state. We're doing work on HIV/AIDS. We are working on mental health issues. We're the first organization in India to start working on the wives of gay men. You know,
Okay. Oh
and
wow.
we are also working on the senior LGBT issues, the old age issues. So now we're doing a lot of work. So those who want to have information, they can go on the website. They can write to us if they want to volunteer. If anyone needs help, we also have counseling. I myself, I'm a qualified trained counselor, so I get a lot of cases coming to me. So the website would be the best place where they could get information.
So it is www.lakshatrust.com.
Yes, www.lakshatrust.com.
Okay, we will
All
put it in the
confusion. Yeah.
comments later. We will put it in the what a fantastic service you're doing. I always believe that I think we get given these experiences in life so that we can give back. And I always question myself as well, Prince, that why did I have to go through what I went through? You have a family, you have children, you separate yourself from that to discover yourself and then to come out. And it's a very painful journey. It's a traumatic journey, like what you've been through, I've been through. And I questioned it so much until I realized that I think people like us have been put in here to become the voice. And today, when I'm talking to you, I just can feel that we needed a Prince Manvendra Gohil in this world, because I think voices like yours not are just not multiplying into one, two, it's multiplying into millions. And that is what this whole conversation has left me with. I'm glad you're gay. I am so proud to know you. No, really, I'm so pleased that you came out, you discovered yourself, you went through all that. Because if that wasn't, what you'd experienced, I don't think you would be this person today. Although you are that soul, but this world wouldn't have found you. And I think this is our discovery for our world, that we have, Prince Manvendra discovered himself. And audience, please feel free to ask any questions. We will have him for a few more minutes. But Prince, you're doing so much. We talked about one last thing that I would like to bring up, unless, of course, you have a message for us, is about the COVID orphans. There are so many little children that we spoke about today are left without parents. And I believe that you are again campaigning for something for them to find adopted parents. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, see, it's very unfortunate that, of course, the whole pandemic is, of course, a very unfortunate thing to happen. And we never realized that this pandemic, so many children are innocent children are getting orphaned. I get every day and day out, I get requests coming from children as young as 2 months old, 3 months old, where both parents have died and there's nobody to take care of them. There is no place where where they could be housed, or there's orphanages are not that enough or provided. But at the same time, we have gay couples who are, of course, not legally married, but socially living together. We have lesbian couples I know of who would love to adopt children, but unfortunately, there's no law in India which allows this adoption to happen. Even single parents cannot adopt. So I wish that government considers over, at least for the sake of these innocent children. I mean, we could be the best parents. I know so many couples, like same-sex couples, who are wonderful parents. We really take good care of children. We love children, and we will be able to give them such a good future, give them good education. I know of a lesbian couple in Mumbai. They have adopted, again, not legally, but they have adopted their domestic help's son. And I see that boy, he's growing up, he's getting such good education, he's getting such good health, and he'll be groomed in such a good manner. He'll be given such a good life. So I wish if something like this happens, then these children will definitely get good homes, get good parents to take care of them, and their lives will be made. Otherwise, I'm seeing something disastrous coming in India, few years from now. I mean, if these children are just left without getting any homes, I mean, imagine so many of them when they will become big, they will be going in for thefts and criminal activities and drugs and prostitution and whatnot, begging, and it's really going to be a bad state of affairs. So we need to act now, and for that reason, I started talking to some feminist groups, some women activist groups in India, some other LGBT groups as well, trying to tell them that we need to start a campaign, we need to start thinking about it now. And we don't know how long this pandemic is going to last, and it's taking up a lot of the youth population of India. We are the largest youth population, so we definitely need to think about these children.
Again, what a noble act and a noble thought. If we can in any way contribute towards that and support this cause, we'd love to. Just let us know how. And I'm sure there will be a lot of people in the audience, and not just now, and people who are not just watching live, but also later when they watch this, would love to support this cause. I think it's a fantastic thought. It's something that we should all consider, and it is something that we can do together to take it to the government and further this cause. We would love to contribute, please, and we'd love to support you. And there is so much more I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about mental health, but I realize that we are really running out of time. Because may I ask you? I'm really tempted to ask you. Especially because of the things that have been happening with Oprah and Prince Harry and the royal family. And when you were talking to me, I was just in my mind drawing parallels, and I feel that perhaps this is one part that we don't really have in common, is the mental health that you suffer because of the background that you come from, because of the royalty. We also suffer mental health, but because of the regular society pressures, right? But in your case, so I would love to know, is this something that will change? Or is it because you said the way you were brought up? Again, that's a very big example, brought up by governesses, for instance. No real physical intimacy and love from your own parents at that age. When you're, it does it leave a long lasting impact like that? And do you think this will change?
Yeah. Yeah, see, I think things are changing because the change is should happen. I would say, like when the circumstances are changing, so change is and positive change will definitely happen. And I mean, now this present generation, like when I see my sister, I have a younger sister, and her she has children. She realized that having a governess can be so different than being raised by our parents. So she decided to raise her children on her own. She decided she doesn't want a governess, and she should because and her children are very attached to her. And it is bound to be there. Because I mean, we have to change because when we realize the negative impact, then that's what triggers the change. So things are changing, and I'm sure there will be less mental health issues now with many facilities are there, many advancements have happened, and I think I would say another thing is that now with all the social media and technology and everything, we are able to get the world very close to each other. So like get people from the different parts of the world involved and have campaigns and have many like sharing can happen like you know uh, what we are seeing these days. So I think things are definitely going to improve for the better. It's the only thing one thing which worries me is that uh, we need to do things so that we don't destroy the environment. You know,
Yeah.
our environment is in a very grave situation. I'm also working on environmental issues, in many ways. So for our own progress, for our own convenience sake, we should not destroy the nature. We should not destroy the environment because that can have a very serious impact on us, and therefore we need to work together. And I always want to quote something which I kind of say in many of my interviews and all. Uh, there's a Sanskrit, is the one of the world's oldest languages and is from India. There is one saying in Sanskrit which is called Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Now this word, this saying means the whole world is one family, and it's a very important phrase for me, and it inspires me a lot. And whenever I think of issues like these, I always feel that this whole world needs to come together and unite as one family to make it a better place to live. Whether it is environmental issues, whether it is which is it's a COVID related or it's LGBT or any issue which we are facing, it's a global issue. And if we can come as one family, then I'm sure we can do a lot many things in a better manner.
Such wonderful words. Vasudeva Kutumba. We are one family. And on that note, Prince Manvendra Gohil, thank you so much for giving us this time. I mean, I think we have to come back to India so we can spend time with you and talk to you endlessly. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to have you. You were absolutely raw, honest, and you shared absolutely openly and honestly. I really cannot thank you enough. Really, thank you so much for coming on our show
Yeah.
and for your generous
Thanks.
generosity. Yeah. So if there's anything you want to say anything more, otherwise I'm going to thank the audience also for joining in and listening to us. Prince, any parting words apart from Vasudeva Kutumb?
Yeah. I would like to say one thing to all people who are listening to me and everyone in general. Please love yourself. If you love yourself, you will be able to give love to a lot of other people. I get up in the morning, first thing I see my reflection in my mirror and say, wow, what a handsome man I am, and I love myself. I'm a kind of a narcissist, you can say, but it's good. Believe me, it will help us in a very different, very positive way. And if we loving ourselves, we can give so much of love and spread so much of love to so many people.
I absolutely agree with you. I think that self love starts with us, and I also love myself now. I didn't for many many years, and it's the biggest learning for me. And thank you for sharing that, and thank you again so much. And I must thank the audience once again for joining us and being so patient with us. 1.5 hours of conversation. Just I had the most wonderful conversation. Thank you so much. And I must thank Nicola, who's been in the background doing all the tech work. And I know today has been the network has been a little patchy, but I'm sure you can listen to it later on YouTube. If you missed out anything on Raga Olga D'silva, we will be sharing the entire video on Facebook at Totally Out Now, and I'm sure it will be available on many other platforms. I hope this helped our audience. Do write to us at theviewsroom@gmail.com. Thank you again for joining in. Please remember to follow us on at Totally Out Now on all the social handles, Twitter, Insta, Facebook, on my YouTube channel, Raga Olga D'silva. Remember, closets are for clothes, not to hide your truth. Signing out at Totally Out Now.